watch the presidential debate? Wasn't that much fun? Good company. Maybe it was fun to root for your candidate, or perhaps root against the other guy, whoever that might be for you. What I'm going to ask the panelists to do is to actually make a very brief comment. Trust me, they're burning to do this. They're PhD faculty members. They've got to say what's on their mind. All right? However, I'm going to limit them to 2 minutes each, because I'd like the bulk of our time to be left for you to be able to make questions or make comments about your observations tonight. And so now I'll turn it over to our panelists. We'll get a 2-minute comment. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. In case you didn't get it, 2 minutes. I am Joe the Plumber.
I think I can do it in less than 2 minutes. I said earlier that I was looking for some awareness of, on their part, of how serious a situation that we're in, and I don't really think that they demonstrated that. They blamed CEOs and greed, and there probably is some greed, and there's probably some criminal activity. But the cause of this goes way back. We can talk about the activities of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and we can talk about low interest rates promoted by the Federal Reserve. We can talk about a lot of things, but the root cause, I don't think, was not greed. And it seems that the two candidates have conceded leadership in this to Secretary Paulson and to Ben Bernanke, and most lately perhaps to Gordon Smith. Gordon something. Yes. Brown. Thank you. But I think those are the ones that we're looking to for leadership right now, and I don't think that they demonstrated that. At least we didn't demonstrate that kind of leadership tonight.
Well, the first thing I want to comment about is what an extraordinary election this is. First of all, I'm looking out at a sea of people who took time out of their schedule to come and watch this debate together, and I don't know that I've seen an election in my lifetime that engendered that kind of interest. So first, kudos to you for taking the time to do that, and my guess is there are rooms all over the country full of people just like you who took the time to do that, so that's amazing. You know, the biggest observation I would make about the debate is, for whatever reason, the strategy that Senator McCain took was to stay on the attack, and so what we heard more about was Senator Obama's platform, because he talked about his stuff, and so did McCain talk about Obama's stuff. And so I think that what we heard less of was an effective statement from Senator McCain about, here's what I want to do. He chose to use more of his time on the offensive to bring out what he saw as the gaps or the failings in Obama as a person and in his platform. And so I don't know how that's playing out there right now to everyone, but I was kind of sad for him that he didn't take this chance to really sell the content of what he wanted.
He doesn't have content. Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Well, I mentioned that one of the things that I was going to try to listen for is a little bit how McCain tried to navigate that minefield of race, and particularly how he was going to deal with the issue of priming. And when he was asked about the issue of, how does he feel about the tone of the campaign and the priming, I do believe him that when he said, I regret the negative tone, and particularly some of the things that have happened in the audiences, I believe him on that. I really don't think he's trying to stoke that. And I have heard him when there have been angry comments from the crowd saying killer and kill him and stuff like that, that McCain has said to them, now we've got to respect him. And one woman said, but he's an Arab. And he said, no, he's not an Arab. So I respect him on that. But when he was taking John Lewis's comment, he took it way out of context. And I hope you guys do look at the full comment that John Lewis said. John Lewis was talking about the issue of crime. He wasn't trying to say that McCain believed in segregation and things like that. What he was saying is that George Wallace was the inventor of the priming. He really pioneered that strategy in '68 when he discovered that he says, oh my gosh, the whole country is Southern in sympathies. And so he started appealing to the racial sentiments in Northerners and learned how to code that language. So that's all that John Lewis was saying. And John Lewis was saying that coming from the 1960s and someone who was beaten on Pettus Bridge, this scares me when people are saying, kill him to Obama. That guy was flashing back to the 1960s. But I don't think he was trying to say that McCain is the same as George Wallace in sentiment, but he was using a similar strategy. And I was a little disappointed that McCain tried to play the victim on that one. The other thing that I've been a little disappointed with, and he didn't talk about Palin. Palin has not been doing what McCain has been doing in terms of trying to tone down the crowd and trying to deal with those comments. To me, I've been disappointed to see she almost seems to enjoy the priming. And that's sad, and I was hoping that maybe McCain would address that.
Stephanie, never, ever underestimate the power of beer and wine when it's free. Not denigrating your interest in the political process. Thank you, Dean Lather. Wonderful point here. What I started to hear was about government investing in the lives of people to help them find future opportunity, future economic opportunity, particularly working class families. And there must be other Joes out there, Jones who are plumbers, and other working class folks who need the help to send their children to college, to just help their children survive through high school and get a good job. And I don't see that as liberal tax and spend. I see it as investing in the lives of people, tapping into the human capital infrastructure that we have in the United States. We have the amazing capacity of human capital that, for now, seems to be, at least in the lower spheres of the economy, seems to be held down. It's almost as if the Minnesota bridge that collapsed, we all got upset about our bridges safe, and we have to spend money to make sure that our bridges won't collapse. Well, we have to spend money to make sure that those children reach into economic productivity in their adulthood, and that takes my taxes, because I'm wealthy enough to pay taxes. It takes the taxes of those people above. I don't make $250,000. But it takes wealthy people's taxes to make sure that we have a productive, vibrant workforce, an educated workforce. Idaho is losing jobs left and right. If we want to attract jobs to Idaho, we have to have an educated child, opportunities for education for children in Idaho. So I see it as an investment opportunity, and that's what I liked hearing tonight and today. So.
I said at the beginning, would there be any discussion on filling Supreme Court vacancies? Yes, that question did come up. Will Senator McCain try to appear less nasty? In my own personal opinion, I would say no. I also said, how often will Senator McCain refer to Governor Palin? And he was really forced to. He did refer to her, but he was forced to. And what he said about her is nothing new. And, Jill, going back to your question, you were hoping that maybe there would be a different strategy on the governor's speech and rhetoric and everything. You're far more optimistic than I am, because I'm not surprised that she's done what she's done, because I think that's why she's on the ticket. Okay, so she's
it's a complex issue that's difficult to answer in 30 seconds. And I think that's why they possibly avoided it. I do think that it's just been eclipsed for the most part. My guess is that it's just been eclipsed by the concerns over the mortgage crisis, house stabilized banking, and so it will remain the elephant in the room, however, for the next president, no matter what. It doesn't pencil out. Some enormous reforms are needed. Most of you are familiar with that math, you know, that it's not going to work that well in the out years if we don't do something different. More money in or less money out, and neither of those are really popular choices. And so I think, my guess is that tonight, you know, it was eclipsed by the crisis, the immediate crisis we're having in the economy. They do have, my understanding is they have a different approach to reform, but I can't speak to that in any great detail. I'm sorry.
And I think the other part of it is that this whole Wall Street thing is really affecting seniors if they've got any investments. And that's another reason to address it.
We're going to have a negative, we now have a negative fertility rate if you discount foreign-born children from the United States. As I said before, we have to be worried about the next generation of workers, not only because there are fewer of them, but because they are less educated than the generation that's getting older. You all, in an act of self-interest, need to worry about investing in the education of youth who are becoming the workforce. And I would argue strongly, we have got to open our borders to documented workers so that they can help fill the job. There will be a net loss of employees of almost 10 million
he's describing issues, and also better at connecting with regular voters. McCain, I was almost hurting for him a little bit, because he seemed at sometimes, with almost wild eyes, to be a little bit unraveling. He seemed a little desperate to me, in his tone, in the jerky way that he was saying things sometimes, and then with his eyes and his facial expression.
Can I just add something? Enough of you are as old as I am, okay? And there were a couple of times when I was watching Senator Obama that his gestures and mannerisms reminded me of John Kennedy. That youth, that confidence, that kind of inspiration. And that worked for John Kennedy in 1960.
We have a question back here.
They mentioned ACORN tonight and fraudulent voter registration, and I think back to Florida in 2000 and the issues that they had there, as well as Ohio in 2004. And I was wondering if you feel like there will be any of those issues in 2008, and what impact that would have on the election. Would it have anything to do with the impact that's had in the past?
My observation would be first that an enormous percentage of the counties in the United States will be using a new technology in the voting process this time, the first time that they'll be trying, whatever it is. In Idaho, we're using those things that look like the bubble test, the optical scan. So, given that the majority of counties, and there are many thousands of them, will be using a new technology, I am expecting some snarls, delays, problems, contested races, and so on, especially in the states where it's very close, like Ohio. So I think the short answer is yes. I think there's going to be some interesting stuff around getting a correct count, making sure people have access, whether the technology works correctly, and the poll worker administration nationwide is generally done by people who only do that 1 or 2 days a year, right? And so the training is reliant on each county's system. It can be a little tenuous if it's a new technology and the workers aren't up to it and you haven't trained them and so on. So I'm expecting it on that kind of technical issue, because it's close and it's going to come down to the wire. Probably the polls will get closer as we get right to the election. I'm expecting a lot of vigilance and concern and allegations back and forth.
There's also every year dogfights over, voter suppression. Every campus trying to do it in their own way. I went to school in Philadelphia, and I just heard that in Philadelphia they're kind of putting the rumor out that anybody that has an outstanding parking ticket, if they try to come to vote that day, that there'll be police that will arrest you. Now those are some of the little dirty tricks that are out there, and trying to take advantage of some people's fear and misunderstanding about their right to vote. They're also trying to do it with some of the student populations, telling them that if they don't have proper residency, that they might not get to vote. If they do get an outstanding parking ticket, that they might get harassed. So they're playing those games. Those always come up.
I'm going to be vilified by somebody for this, but I was trained by ACORN in my graduate degree in St. Louis and community organizing. I want to defend ACORN. I don't defend fraudulent voter registration. And I want to tell you, everything I was trained by ACORN works against fraudulent voter registration. In fact, the things that Jill is talking about, ACORN worked against in North St. Louis with a very low-income, marginalized African-American population. Either we are a democracy or we are not. Either every adult gets to vote or they don't. Will there be some duplicate registrations? Probably. When you hire low-income people who really don't understand the registration process and they're paid per voter registration, will you get some fraudulent, some mistakes? Yes, you will. Does that mean we shouldn't investigate it? No, you won't. But ACORN shouldn't be vilified here. They are working with low-income, marginalized populations, trying to bring them into the democratic process. Does that mean that they're registering Democrats? Probably. They're low-income voters. But I want everybody to vote. I want everybody to participate. I like ACORN. I had to say it.
Joe the plumber would like to announce, sadly, sir, that this is the last question here, and it better be a good one. And then we turn the microphone back to our moderator. Thank you.
I'll make it a fun one then. Let's say you are writers for Saturday Night Live. Can you predict for us, can you tell us what the theme of the debate-related sketch would be this week? Would it be the Joe the Plumber drinking game, or what would it be?
Well, I would assume it's going to be Joe the Plumber. I might have him come answer for me if I were Senator McCain, and then he could just handle the debate for him. Other than that,
I haven't seen the skits, and I've heard a lot about it. And I'll be honest with you, they kind of, what I hear people talk about somewhat dismays me. That people are getting a lot of laughs about 4 people who are running for a national office, and 2 of them are going to be our new leader. So maybe when we find ourselves enthralled by the skits, it might be telling us as much about the candidates as it tells us about ourselves. Maybe I'm saying this because I guess I'm getting older by the minute. I'm actually waiting for Sarah Palin or Joe Biden to do a skit on Jay Leno and David Letterman. Of course, they won't do it. But I apologize if I insult anybody on that and take away some of the humor out of your question. But we are talking about the next leaders, and we're really looking at them as jokes.
We are just about out of time, so it's my pleasure to reintroduce Dean Melissa Lavin.
I wanted to thank you all for coming tonight. I think it's no coincidence that all the debates were held at universities. This is what we should be doing, and your participation makes more evidence that this is indeed a public good. And I want to really thank my panelists. They have really helped make this evening, really were a great catalyst for wonderful conversations that I heard throughout the evening. And so I want to thank my panelists, and Eric, our moderator, and Butch on the microphone, and David hanging out back there. So thank you all very much, and thank you all for coming.